It's a very simple question. I know facts are not your strong point. Is energy production higher today under Biden than under Trump? It's a simple yes or no question.
You're an obnoxious...
See, facts
don't care about your feelings.
Are Americans wrong when they have this feeling? Well, the feelings
I'm
oftentimes are
obnoxious
generated
because I asked you if energy production is higher today than under Trump.
You're
that makes me
obnoxious
obnoxious
because I'm asking you why you would say that
I'm
Biden
obnoxious.
didn't thwart.
You're a racist. We want to play that game? You said Obama is not born in America. He's not one of us.
I said that?
Yeah, you said Trump is doing a great job asking for his birth certificate.
I said that?
You said he's not one of us. You said he jives and schmucks. Should we go down the record? You're going to call me obnoxious? Why don't you talk about your racism?
Yeah.
In today's video, Mehdi Hasan and Destiny team up and absolutely destroy Piers Morgan and his MAGA panel on the Piers Morgan Show. Piers Morgan and Sarah Palin came in with their usual right-wing talking points. Trump's economy was the best ever. He kept America safe, and the media just hates him. But Mehdi Hasan and Destiny came with receipts. Whether it was dismantling Trump's immigration cruelty, exposing the myth of his so-called economic miracle, or calling out the lies around January 6th and foreign policy blunders, this was a no-holds-barred takedown. So let's dive in and watch how Mehdi Hasan and Destiny shut down Piers Morgan and his MAGA panel on the Piers Morgan Show.
Isn't America producing more energy today than we have in all of history?
No, we're not.
That's not true? We're not?
No, we're not. And
okay.
Remember, Kamala and her administration, day one, they stopped pipelines, no more drilling on federal lands.
So we look up, America's not producing more energy. You ran with McCain. You said you care about veterans and everything. Did Trump's comments about McCain bother you at all? Did Trump prefers people that didn't get captured?
I've never said anything negative about McCain or any.
I didn't ask if you said it. I asked if Trump's comments bother you about that.
Anyway,
when Trump made fun of that Gold Star family for their child, did that bother you?
They bother me. I wrote a column criticizing him heavily for it.
I had two parents who served in the Air Force. I'm just curious, if you cared about vets, did these comments bother you?
When
Trump tried to go to Arlington and do a photo op there.
If I care about vets,
yeah, if you do, did these comments bother you?
If I care about vets.
If you cared about vets, I'm asking, did these comments bother you?
So the inherent link between energy and prosperity and energy
talk
security.
About whether or not Trump's comments about McCain bother
you interrupted the point that I was going to make.
Because you're not making any points. These are political talking points. Are we running for office in here?
Really?
You did run for office, by the way. You ran with John McCain, the most warmongering man that we know of.
Why did you run with John McCain? The point to make. No,
why did you run with John McCain if you're anti-wars?
To make a positive difference in our country.
But he would have sent more people to die.
You don't know that.
I do. He literally said bomb, bomb, bomb Iran. He sang it.
Yeah.
I mean,
he sang it.
He did campaign.
He campaigned on a war platform.
He campaigned on 100 years in Iraq.
He campaigned on staying in Iraq 100 years and bombing Iran.
You're asking why I accepted the nomination to
I'm just wondering, you're sitting here saying you're against war abroad, and yet I just want to remind younger viewers at home, you ran with the most warmongering senator of my lifetime.
And you're asking why I ran for vice president of the United States of America?
No, I know why you ran. You wanted power. I'm just saying why you're not consistent.
I mean, to be fair to Palin, Vance accepted the nomination, and he said that Trump could be America's next Hitler, so, I mean, you know.
All right, why don't we try and be a little fairer to the ex-governor, because she's on her own here getting attacked by three brutal males.
And I wanted to talk about energy and America's
finish your point.
What you said was false about energy. Facts matter too. America has record energy production right now.
No.
It does. People can Google it right now and see they don't tell
I said that on day one, what the Biden administration did was halt so much of our exploration
and yet we have record energy
and our construction of pipelines. And
I'm not a fan of that, by the way. I think we should have less energy production. I'm a critic of Biden on his energy production.
You're a liar. You lied.
I'm a liar.
Yes, and you said, no, Biden didn't do that. Yes, he did on day one.
Do you know he handed out more licenses to Trump? Do you know that?
I'm making the point that you denied. My point is true.
Destiny said energy's higher, and you said no. So if anyone lied, you did.
Listen.
People can DVR it. They can rewind it and see you saying a false statement.
Let me ask this question.
Energy production higher. Is energy production higher today?
You don't think that Biden
is energy production higher under Biden than Trump?
And you just
is energy production higher, Sarah Palin? It's a very simple question. I know facts are not your strong point. Is energy production higher today under Biden than under Trump? It's a simple yes or no question.
You're an obnoxious.
See, facts
don't care about your feelings.
Are Americans wrong when they have this feeling? Well, the feelings oftentimes are generated
because I asked you if energy production is higher today than under Trump.
You're obnoxious because I'm asking you why you would say that
Biden
didn't thwart.
You're a racist. We want to play that game? You said Obama is not born in America. He's not one of us.
I said that?
Yeah, you said Trump is doing a great job asking for his birth certificate. You said he's not one of us. You said he jives and schmucks. Should we go down the record? You're going to call me obnoxious? Why don't you talk about your racism?
Yeah.
Let's clear up the energy claim right off the bat. US oil production hit an all-time high under Joe Biden in 2023, according to the US Energy Information Administration. Yes, higher than under Trump. So Palin's talking point that Biden killed American energy is just flat out false. The Keystone XL pipeline she brought up, that wasn't even operational and was mostly intended to transport Canadian oil to refineries for export, not exactly a win for American energy independence. Then there's the whole veterans issue. Trump's disrespect for Gold Star families and POWs like John McCain isn't just political theater, it's well documented and deeply offensive to those who actually value military service. Sarah Palin positioning herself as a champion for veterans while staying silent or worse, defending Trump's cruel and dismissive rhetoric is textbook hypocrisy. And finally, let's not forget her past as John McCain's VP pick. Mehdi Hasan didn't even need to stretch here. McCain literally sang Bomb Bomb Iran on camera. Palin's anti-war posturing now rings pretty hollow when you remember she campaigned with one of the most hawkish senators of a generation. At the end of the day, Mehdi Hasan's persistence is asking simple, factual questions made one thing very clear. Palin's arguments crumble fast under pressure. Her bluster couldn't hide the contradictions, and her deflections didn't work when she was up against someone who actually knows the facts.
What are we talking about your racism?
Why do you change the subject?
You said Black Lives Matter protesters are dogs. Should we go down?
I said they're dogs.
All right,
You're
hang on.
a liar.
All right,
Show me where I ever said that protesters
It's funny you didn't deny the about. You say Obama's shocking giant.
You're a liar.
Mehdi, if you get the governor on your show, which is, I would say, unlikely as things stand, if you do, you can continue the prosecution. Let me just segue to this, though, because it's interesting.
I called people dogs who were protesting in America. You're a liar.
Since our president won't say it, since he still hasn't called off the dogs, we'll say it.
Did you question Obama's birth?
Oh my goodness!
Did you say he's not one of us?
You know,
did you say he's palling around with terrorists?
Based on that, we're talking about Bill Ayers at the time and how Obama had kicked off.
You're standing by Obama's with terrorists.
Oh my goodness! I can't believe
you
even
say
have
he's not
a show.
one of us? Did you say Obama's not one of us?
I still want to know this proof that you have of me calling protesters in America dogs.
I believe you referred to Black Lives Matter protesters that way.
I believe you are wrong.
All right, we'll fact check after. I want to ask you this, Mehdi, because you're being very vocal and taking on Sarah Palin.
I mean, I got called obnoxious for pointing out energy production levels.
I don't think you would win a court case about not being obnoxious. But let's move on. Let's move on.
Biden not thwarting our
I can also be obnoxious before you just play the water battery. Let me just ask you this, though. Given that you believe Trump is, a racist who's holding neo-Nazi style rallies and so on, why is it that he's gaining significant ground with black and Latino voters? Why would they gravitate to a man who is literally, in your eyes, the new version of a Nazi?
It's a good question. I think because minority communities are not monoliths. I'm having the same issues in my own Muslim community where a lot of Muslims, not a lot, but some Muslims are actually going to vote for Trump because they're upset about Gaza. They think he's the peace candidate. And I think people have different reasons. I think we can make generalizations about entire communities. I'm not going to make generalizations about black or Latino voters. Although I think it's slightly exaggerated. There's an ABC poll that came out on Sunday.
You have a woman...
There's an ABC poll that came out on Sunday that shows Harris is doing better with black and Latino men than Joe Biden did in 2020.
But the significant thing, Dave, is that Trump's own popularity with black and Latino voters is significantly increased.
What is that popularity? Yeah. What are the numbers that we're talking here? Are we going from like 11% to 17%?
I think I read on African Americans, it's something like from about 4 or 5% to nearly 20%. That's significant.
It depends on what polls you look at. And again, we'll figure out in, I guess it might take us a few weeks before we have this data, but we'll see what actually ends up happening on the election day. There is something very interesting about the fact that if you look at the aggregate of the polls, Trump's support amongst minorities seems to be going up. There is, at least on the surface, that seems kind of funny given how he's being covered in the corporate media. Mm-hmm. I really do think that a lot of the there's kind of like the progressive cultural worldview is often very disconnected from what people in these communities actually care about. I think the fact that I think personally there's actually a lot of things that appeal to certain people in these communities that Donald Trump, just in his personality. But I really do think that if you ask them, it all is coming down to the same two things that it's coming down to for most voters, which is immigration and the economy. Yeah. These are the two big issues across all
Now, Dave Smith tries to frame it as a disconnection between progressive elites and the real-life concerns of minority communities. And while it's true that these communities aren't monolithic, and Mehdi Hasan himself acknowledges that the framing still skips over a lot of crucial context, yes, some polls show Trump gaining ground with Black and Latino voters, but what's often missing is that this gain is relative. He's still losing among those groups by large margins. For example, even if Trump jumps from 8% to 18% with Black voters, Biden is still winning over 70% of that demographic. That doesn't scream realignment. It suggests frustration, protest sentiment, or even disillusionment with both parties. Also, much of this support appears to be younger and male, a demographic that's more likely to respond to Trump's social media bravado than his actual policy record. But when you zoom out, Trump's track record on these voters' core issues, economic justice, policying, healthcare access, is weak at best and openly hostile at worst. Let's not forget he spent years pushing voter suppression, downplaying policy violence, and slashing public benefits that disproportionately helped marginalized groups. So while Mehdi Hasan is being cautious not to overgeneralize, and rightfully so, the truth is that rising numbers in the polls don't necessarily mean rising loyalty or deep approval. Sometimes it's a protest, sometimes it's marketing, but often it's just disillusionment with the whole system. Now, let's hear what Destiny has to say.
It is, I mean, whatever side of this you're on with Trump, it is fascinating that somebody who, you know, many on your side believe is this appalling racist and everything else, that he is increasing support in minority groups. Why is
certain talking? Because Black people and Hispanic people and Asian people and white, we're not fundamentally different. You can appeal to people using certain talking points. Like, I hate that I'm saying this, but like Dave said, I agree that that talking about immigration and inflation, that's a thing that plays to a lot of communities, especially if you're a poor community, especially if you don't have as much money. These are things that are probably hitting you the hardest. Now, the issue where the rubber meets the road is that while Trump will talk about inflation, while Trump was running for president, he ran huge deficits in a great economy. There is no reason for it. At least Biden has an excuse to run deficits. We're coming out of a global pandemic. And Donald Trump's every single policy that Donald Trump is talking about will increase inflation. It's going to. Who do you think? You think that I'm going to care if my coffee costs $10 or $15 because of tariffs? It's not going to bother me. It's not going to bother anybody sitting here. It's going to bother the very same communities that are trying to vote for him because they're worried about things like inflation. And the policies themselves don't even make sense, right? What do you think is going to happen when we deport 12 million workers, or when we deport however many people Donald Trump wants to, or when we cut immigration even harder at the border, right? Donald Trump will simultaneously say we're shipping all of our factories to Mexico because they're making cars down there, but we want to ban all the people from coming to the United States to make the cars. It doesn't make any sense.
Allow me to remind you of my favorite statistic, which is...
I don't care about Obama. Obama is not running for president, so I don't know why. I don't care.
You're ahead of me, but let me do it anyway.
I've heard it. The deporter-in-chief.
It's my favorite stat.
It doesn't matter. All it proves is that Trump is a liar when you say he ran on immigration, because Obama was already deporting a ton of people.
The single greatest deporter of people in American presidential history, pro rata, per year, was Barack Obama.
So then would you say that Trump was lying when he said that the Democrats were bad on immigration?
Over 3 million in 8 years.
Yeah, so would you say that Trump was lying when he said that Obama was bad on immigration?
No, I'm simply saying...
No, I'm curious. Would you say that Donald Trump and the Republicans lied when they said that Obama had an open border?
First off, yes, there's been an uptick in support for Trump among Black and Latino voters, but the scale is important. These aren't majorities, they're shifts within an already lopsided playing field. For instance, if Trump increases his support among Latino voters from 32% to 38%, that's newsworthy, sure, but it still means that majority are voting against him. Similarly, even if his numbers among Black men double, he's still nowhere close to competitive overall. This isn't a realignment. It's a warning sign about disaffection, not a conservative breakthrough. On immigration, the contradiction gets even sharper. Trump promises mass deportations and deeper cuts to legal immigration, yet simultaneously complains that jobs are going overseas. But you can't offshore factories and shut out immigration labor at the same time without creating massive labor shortages. Agriculture, construction, elder care, these are sectors that depend heavily on immigrant labor. Strip that away and prices rise, not just for corporations, but for working class Americans trying to afford food, housing, and healthcare. So the policies don't just fail, they backfire on the very people Trump claimed to be helping. So while Piers Morgan wants to treat these poll shifts as proof of ideological migration, Destiny is right to press on the policy outcomes, because when you get past the branding and the slogans, Trump's agenda has never aligned with the material interests of the voters he's now courting. If anything, it's often been directly at odds with them.
Pause. Are you getting tired of getting half the story from biased news sources? One outlet says one thing and another says the complete opposite. How are you supposed to know what's actually true? That's where ground news comes in. It lets you compare how different media outlets, left, right, and center, are covering the same story. So you can see the full picture instead of just the echo chamber. And here's the best part. Click the link in the description and get 40% off the Vantage tier, which gives you even deeper insights into media bias and political trends. Stay informed, think for yourself, and check out ground news in the description down below.